Welcome, esteemed subscribers. You've unlocked a treasure trove of exclusive bonus episodes where the secrets of castles and the whispers of history come to life like never before. Together, we'll embark on a quest to uncover the hidden stories and the untold legends of medieval history. So, prepare to immerse yourself in stories that will transport you across centuries. These bonus episodes are a reward for your dedication to the preservation of these living relics. Together, we'll preserve their history one tale at a time. Our exclusive journey begins now. As the twilight of the Middle Ages cast its long shadows across the lands of the Byzantine Empire, the city of Constantinople stood as a beacon of light amidst the encroaching darkness. It was a city that had witnessed the ebb and flow of centuries, a city that had been the heart of an empire that bridged the ancient and medieval worlds. Yet, as the 15th century dawned, this once unassailable metropolis found itself under the gaze of a formidable foe, the young and ambitious Sultan Mehmed II, who was poised to etch his name into history as the conqueror of Constantinople. At the helm of the city's defence stood a cadre of leaders whose lives and legacies were intertwined with the fate of Constantinople. This was the Byzantine Command, a group of men who bore the weight of an empire's survival on their shoulders. Among them was the last emperor of the Byzantines, Constantine XI, a man whose very existence was a testament to the enduring legacy of Rome, now standing at the brink of its final chapter. Constantine, the scion of the Palaiologos dynasty, ascended to the throne in a time of unparalleled crisis. His empire was a shadow of its former self, reduced to the city of Constantinople and a few scattered territories. Yet Constantine bore his burden with a dignity and resolve that belied the dire circumstances of his reign. He was not merely the emperor of a dwindling empire, but the custodian of a civilization that had shaped the contours of the known world. In the years leading up to the siege, Constantine embarked on a series of diplomatic endeavours, seeking aid from the powers of Christendom. His pleas for a crusade to relieve Constantinople were met with promises that were as fleeting as the western horizon. Yet, undeterred, Constantine continued to prepare the city for the inevitable confrontation. He strengthened the walls, rallied his troops, and fortified his resolve against the coming storm. But Constantine was not alone in his stand against the Ottomans. Beside him were men of valour and experience, among them the famed Genoese mercenary Giovanni Giustiniani. He was entrusted with the defence of the city's most vulnerable sector. Giustiniani, a seasoned warrior who had battled the Ottomans in the past, brought with him a contingent of soldiers, and the hope that his expertise could turn the tide in favour of the defenders. The command also included notable Byzantine generals and nobles, such as Lucas Notaras, the Megasdo, who commanded the Byzantine navy, and Theophilos Palaiologos. These men represented the last vestiges of Byzantine martial prowess, ready to lay down their lives for their city and emperor. In the shadow of the looming siege, the Byzantine command was more than a military hierarchy. It was a symbol of the enduring spirit of Constantinople. These leaders, each with their own stories and destinies, were united in a common cause, the defence of their city against the might of the Ottoman Empire. They were aware of the historical significance of the moment, standing as they were at the crossroads of eras, defending not just a city, but the legacy of a civilization that had endured for over 1,000 years. The introduction of these defenders, set against the backdrop of a city braced for siege, sets the stage for a tale of heroism, tragedy, and the undying hope of a people facing the twilight of their empire. It is a narrative woven from the threads of history, a story of the last stand of the Romans, as they face the dawn of a new age with courage and resolve. As the siege of Constantinople unfolds, the actions and decisions of these men would come to define the final hours of the Byzantine Empire. Their leadership, valor, and sacrifice would be immortalized in the annals of history, a testament to the enduring spirit of a fallen empire and the indomitable will of its last defenders. In the annals of history, few figures stand as poignantly as Constantine Palaiologos, the last emperor of the Byzantine Empire. His reign, culminating in the siege and fall of Constantinople, marks not merely the end of an empire that had endured for over a millennium, but symbolizes the closing chapter of the ancient world, giving way to the dawn of modernity. Constantine's life was a tapestry woven from threads of valor, despair, hope, and unyielding resilience, embodying the tragic splendor of the empire he was destined to shepherd through its final days. Born in the mid-15th century to the noble Palaiologos dynasty, Constantine was not initially expected to ascend to the imperial throne. His early life was marked by the turbulence of an empire in decline, beset on all sides by encroaching foes and internal strife. Yet from these trials emerged a leader of profound character and determination. Constantine's path to the throne was neither direct nor easy. It was a journey that took him across Europe, seeking support for his beleaguered empire, negotiating with princes and popes alike, in a bid to secure a coalition that could repel the Ottoman threat. When he finally ascended to the throne, Constantine inherited a realm shadowed by the spectre of inevitable conquest. The once vast territories of the Byzantine Empire had dwindled to the city of Constantinople itself and a handful of outlying domains. Yet, in the face of these daunting odds, Constantine's resolve did not waver. He was determined to do all in his power to preserve the legacy and sovereignty of his empire. Constantine's reign was characterized by a relentless pursuit of unity, both within his empire and among the Christian states of Europe. He understood that the survival of Constantinople, the bastion of Eastern Christianity, depended on a united front against the Ottoman advance. Despite the fractious nature of European politics and the schism between the Orthodox and Catholic churches, Constantine endeavored to forge alliances, offering concessions and embracing diplomacy to gather support for his cause. As the threat of siege loomed ever closer, Constantine's preparations for the defense of Constantinople were meticulous and comprehensive. He fortified the city's ancient walls, called upon the military prowess of mercenaries like Giovanni Giustiniani, and rallied his people to the defense of their home. Under his leadership, Constantinople braced itself for the onslaught, a testament to the emperor's determination to stand firm in the face of overwhelming odds. Constantine's role during the siege itself was both emblematic and active. He was not an emperor who led from the safety of his palace. Rather, he was a commander who stood on the walls, fought in the breaches, and shared in the hardships and dangers faced by his soldiers and citizens. His presence among them, sword in hand, served as a powerful symbol of unity and resistance, inspiring those around him to feats of valor and sacrifice. In the final hours of the siege, as the walls of Constantinople were breached and the city fell to the Ottomans, Constantine's fate became the stuff of legend. It is said that, realizing the end was near, he removed his imperial regalia and plunged into the fray, determined to meet his end as a warrior rather than a captive emperor. His final moments are shrouded in mystery and heroism, a fitting end to the last emperor of a dying empire. Constantine Palaiologos, in his life and death, embodied the enduring spirit of Byzantium. His legacy, marked by courage, perseverance, and a profound sense of duty, transcends the fall of Constantinople. He stands as a figure of historical tragedy and heroism, a symbol of the twilight of the Middle Ages and the dawn of a new era. In the collective memory of humanity, Constantine XI remains not just as the last emperor of the Byzantine Empire, but as a beacon of resistance against the inevitable tide of change, a poignant reminder of the cyclical nature of history and the impermanence of empires. In the tapestry of history, interwoven with the fates of empires and the valor of those who sought to defend them, the figure of Giovanni Giustiniani stands out as a beacon of heroism amidst the despair of Constantinople's final days. This Genoese mercenary, a scion of a noble family, became a key figure in the defense of the Byzantine capital against the might of the Ottoman Empire. His name forever etched in the annals of history, not merely as a soldier of fortune, but as a hero who epitomized the chivalric ideals of his time. Giustiniani's journey to Constantinople was not driven by wealth or the pursuit of personal glory. It was a crusade born of a deep-seated belief in the defense of Christendom and the preservation of its bastion against the encroaching Ottoman tide. A veteran of conflicts across Europe, Giustiniani brought to Constantinople not just his martial prowess, but also a wealth of military experience and an unwavering resolve to stand against the Ottomans in what he foresaw as a pivotal clash of civilization. Upon his arrival in the city, Emperor Constantine welcomed Giustiniani with the respect befitting a man of his reputation and valor. Recognizing the strategic acumen and leadership qualities of the Genoese commander, the emperor entrusted him with the defense of the city's most vulnerable sector, the Theodosian walls. It was here, at this critical juncture, that Giustiniani's legacy would be forged in the crucible of siege warfare. With a contingent of seasoned soldiers at his command, Giustiniani undertook the Herculean task of reinforcing the ancient walls, drawing upon every resource available to ensure that this linchpin of the city's defences would hold against the onslaught. Under his supervision, the walls were strengthened, battlements were fortified, and the morale of the defenders, both professional soldiers and civilian volunteers, was bolstered. Giustiniani's leadership transformed this segment of the city's defences into a symbol of the resolve and determination of the Byzantine resistance. As the siege progressed and the Ottoman forces launched their relentless attacks against the city, Giustiniani's strategic genius and valour on the battlefield became apparent. Time and again he repelled the assaults, inspiring his men with his personal bravery and tactical ingenuity. In the heat of battle, clad in his distinctive armour, Giustiniani was a figure of inspiration, leading from the front and fighting shoulder to shoulder with his men. Yet heroism often exacts a heavy toll. During the final assault on the city, as the Ottomans breached the walls through sheer force of numbers and firepower, he was gravely wounded. Despite his injuries, he continued to fight, embodying the spirit of resistance until the very end. His evacuation from the walls, as ordered by Emperor Constantine, marked a turning point in the siege, as the defenders' morale faltered in the absence of their leader. Giustiniani's departure from the battlefield was not just the loss of a commander, but the dimming of a light that had inspired the defence of Constantinople. His valour and leadership were a beacon to all who stood with him, a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who choose to stand against the tide of history in defence of their beliefs and their homeland. In the aftermath of the fall of Constantinople, the legacy of Giovanni Giustiniani transcended his mortal deeds. He became a symbol of the heroism and sacrifice that defined the last days of the Byzantine Empire. His story, a blend of chivalry, bravery, and strategic acumen, continues to inspire those who hear it, a reminder of the timeless virtues of honour and valour in the face of overwhelming adversity. Giovanni Giustiniani's role in the defence of Constantinople is a chapter of history that resonates with the echoes of heroism and tragedy. It is a narrative that captures the essence of the human spirit's capacity for greatness, a story that even in the face of defeat shines with the light of undying courage and the unwavering will to stand firm in the face of the inevitable. Amidst the gathering storm that threatened to engulf Constantinople in 1453, the city found unlikely guardians in its former commercial rivals, the maritime republics of Genoa and Venice. These erstwhile adversaries of the Byzantine Empire, drawn by a confluence of strategic interests and a shared heritage of Christian faith, emerged as crucial allies in the city's darkest hour. The Genoese and Venetian defenders, embodying the spirit of a bygone era of chivalry and maritime dominion, played a pivotal role in the defense of Constantinople against the Ottoman siege. Their contributions are testament to the complex tapestry of alliances that defined the period. The Genoese, who were invited by Emperor Constantine himself, came not as mercenaries but as brethren in arms, driven by a sense of duty to the Christian world and its embattled outposts. The Genoese quarter of Galata, across the Golden Horn from Constantinople, became a crucial link in the city's defense, its fortifications bolstering the city's strategic depth against the Ottoman encirclement. Venice, the serene republic, renowned for its naval prowess and mercantile wealth, found itself in a delicate position as the Ottoman threat loomed over Constantinople. Though its interests in the region were vast and its relations with Byzantium complex, the fall of Constantinople posed a dire threat to Venetian trade routes and geopolitical standing. Thus, despite the latent rivalries that had simmered between Venice and Constantinople, the Republic dispatched a fleet under the command of the venerable Captain Gabriele Trevisano. Though small in number, the Venetian contingent represented a significant commitment to the defence of the city, their ships bolstering the Byzantine naval defences, and their soldiers standing firm on the walls alongside their Genoese counterparts. The presence of these Italian allies within the walls of Constantinople was a microcosm of the wider world of the Mediterranean, a region where commerce, conflict, and culture had intermingled for centuries to create a vibrant tapestry of interdependencies. The Genoese and Venetians, with their advanced naval technologies, mercantile networks, and experienced soldiers, contributed not just manpower to the defence of the city, but also a wealth of maritime expertise and a link to the outside world that was critical in maintaining morale. As the siege intensified, the Genoese and Venetian defenders found themselves fighting not just for Constantinople, but for the survival of a way of life that had flourished in the Mediterranean for centuries. Their defence was marked by acts of extraordinary bravery and sacrifice, their cannons roaring defiance at the besieging Ottoman forces, their swords and crossbows a thin line of steel against the tide of history that sought to sweep over the city's ancient walls. In the heart of the battle, the Genoese and Venetian flags flew side by side with the Byzantine standard, symbols of a united front against a common enemy. The defenders, though outnumbered and besieged, were buoyed by the knowledge that they stood together, a coalition of Christian warriors drawn from the furthest reaches of Europe to defend the last bastion of the Roman world. Yet the contributions of the Genoese and Venetian defenders extended beyond the battlefield. Their engineers and artisans worked alongside their Byzantine counterparts to repair breaches in the walls, their knowledge of fortifications and siege engines invaluable in the desperate struggle to keep the city intact. Their sailors, braving the blockade and the Ottoman navy, managed to bring in vital supplies and reinforcements. Each ship that slipped through the enemy lines was a lifeline for the city's beleaguered inhabitants. In the aftermath of the siege, as the dust settled over Fallen City, the legacy of the Genoese and Venetian defenders remained. Their valiant stand alongside the Byzantines was a testament to the enduring spirit of a shared Christian heritage, a reminder of a time when the city of Constantinople was a melting pot of cultures, a nexus of trade routes that linked the East and West. The fall of the city marked the end of an era, but the stories of the Genoese and Venetian allies, their bravery and sacrifice, lived on, woven into the rich tapestry of Mediterranean history. These defenders from Genoa and Venice, their fates intertwined with that of Constantinople, stood as symbols of the resilience of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming adversity. Their participation in the siege, driven by a complex web of allegiances, interests and shared faith, underscored the interconnectedness of the medieval world, a reminder that history is not merely the saga of empires rising and falling in isolation, but a story of peoples, cities, and cultures inextricably linked across the boundaries of time and space. Within the storied walls of Constantinople, as the shadow of siege darkened its ancient stones, there stirred tales not just of kings and knights, but of unnamed warriors and unheralded inhabitants whose valour formed the backbone of the city's last stand. These were the unknown heroes, the common soldiers and citizens, whose stories, woven into the fabric of Constantinople's final days, are testament to the enduring spirit of humanity in the face of imminent oblivion. Their lives, though not recorded in the annals of history with the clarity and detail afforded to their commanders, were nonetheless pivotal in the defense of a civilization on the brink of collapse. As the siege engines of the Ottoman Empire thundered against the city's walls, and the air grew thick with the anticipation of battle, the citizens of Constantinople, from the humblest shopkeeper to the seasoned veteran, rallied to the defense of their home. They were a diverse tapestry of cultures and backgrounds, united by a common cause, to stand against the tide of conquest and preserve the legacy of their forebears. Among them was a blacksmith who, in the days leading up to the siege, forged swords and spears, not just as tools of trade, but as instruments of survival. His workshop became a crucible of war, where the clanging of hammer against anvil was a defiant chorus against the encroaching silence of subjugation. By day he toiled to arm his fellow defenders. By night he stood watch on the walls, a silent guardian gazing into the darkness beyond. In the labyrinthine alleys of the city, a widow whose husband had fallen in an earlier skirmish against the Ottoman forces transformed her grief into resolve. She and other women of the city took up the mantle of healers and caretakers, tending to the wounded and offering solace to the weary. They stood as pillars of strength, their hands skilled in the art of healing, their presence a balm to the beleaguered souls who fought not just for stone and mortar, but for the spirit of Constantinople itself. Among the ranks of the defenders was a young soldier, scarcely more than a boy, who had never known a world beyond the looming shadow of war. He had grown up on tales of valor and visions of glory, the legends of his ancestors a fiery beacon in the darkness. As he stood on the walls, the weight of his armor a tangible reminder of the burden he carried, he fought with a ferocity born of innocence and the unshakable belief in the righteousness of his cause. And then there were the monks, the keepers of the city's spiritual flame, who, in the face of the siege, found their faith tested not in the solitude of contemplation, but in the crucible of war. They emerged from their monasteries, icons held aloft, to stand alongside their fellow citizens, offering prayers and blessings, their voices a serene counterpoint to the cacophony of battle. In their eyes burned the light of the divine, a beacon of hope in a world consumed by the darkness of war. These were but a few of the myriad stories of bravery and sacrifice that emerged from the siege of Constantinople, each a thread in the rich tapestry of its final stand. The common soldiers and citizens, though their names may have faded with the passage of time, played a role no less significant than the famed heroes of lore. They were the heart and soul of the city, the embodiment of its will to endure against overwhelming odds. Amidst the clamour of war and the tumult of a city under siege, the spiritual bastion of Constantinople stood as a beacon of hope and resilience. The Byzantine Church, with its deep-rooted traditions and centuries-old faith, played a pivotal role not just in the physical defence of the city, but in fortifying the spirits of its defenders and inhabitants. As the Ottoman forces encircled the Queen of Cities, the Church emerged as a sanctuary of solace and strength, weaving the spiritual defence of Constantinople into the very fabric of its last stand. The Hagia Sophia, a marvel of architectural beauty and spiritual significance, became the heart around which the life of the city pulsed. In the shadow of its magnificent dome, prayers and hymns rose like incense, mingling with the smoke of battle, a testament to the unyielding faith of a people facing the twilight of their empire. The clergy, led by the patriarch, stood at the forefront of this spiritual defense. Their sermons and liturgies a clarion call to the faithful, reminding them of the divine protection that had once made it impregnable. In the days leading up to the final assault, the churches of Constantinople became hubs of fervent activity, not just for prayer, but for rallying the populace. The clergy, robed in the vestments of their sacred office, walked the walls of the city, blessing the soldiers and the stones alike, imbuing them with a sense of divine mission. They spoke of the prophecies and visions that had long foretold the city's trials, interpreting the siege as a trial of faith, a purgatory through which the city must pass to reach its redemption. Among the defenders were monks and priests who had taken up arms, their monastic vows of peace set aside in the face of existential threat. These warrior monks, armed with the cross and the sword, became symbols of the intertwining of the spiritual and martial defense of the city. Their presence among the soldiers served as a constant reminder of the celestial army that fought alongside them, invisible but ever present. As the siege reached its zenith, a miraculous event was said to have occurred, a manifestation of the divine intercession for which the city's defenders had prayed. Icons of the Virgin Mary, the Theotokos, carried in procession along the walls, were reported to have wept, their tears a sign of heaven's mourning for the city's suffering. This phenomenon, witnessed by many, bolstered the morale of the defenders, reaffirming their belief in the righteousness of their cause and the hope for a miraculous deliverance. Yet, even as the clergy and the faithful sought divine aid, they also grappled with the theological implications of the siege. The impending fall of Constantinople posed profound questions about the will of God and the fate of a city that had been the bastion of Orthodox Christianity for over a millennium. The patriarch and the clergy engaged in fervent prayer and debate, seeking to understand the divine plan and to prepare the souls of their flock for whatever outcome lay ahead. In the aftermath of the city's fall, as the minarets of the Hagia Sophia pierced the skyline of the conquered city, the spiritual legacy of the Byzantine Church endured. The fall of Constantinople marked the end of an era, but for the Orthodox faithful, it also heralded the beginning of a new chapter in their spiritual journey. The Church, though stripped of its magnificent cathedral and the imperial patronage that had supported it for centuries, continued to be a source of hope and identity for the Orthodox people, its liturgies and traditions a link to a past that, though fallen, was never forgotten. The spiritual defense of Constantinople, woven through the fabric of its final days, stands as a testament to the power of faith in the face of overwhelming adversity. It is a reminder that the battle for the soul of a city is fought not just with swords and shields, but with prayers and hymns, the invisible armor of the faithful. In the legacy of the Byzantine Church, the spirit of Constantinople endures, a beacon of light in the annals of history, illuminating the path of the faithful through the ages. Thank you for joining us on this enchanting journey through the pages of history. As we bid farewell to another captivating bonus episode, remember that your support makes it all possible. We'll be back soon with more tales and mysteries, so stay tuned. Until then, keep your curiosity alive, and may your love for history continue to thrive. Farewell, dear listeners, and remember, the past never truly fades away, as long as we're here to explore it together.